Thanks for joining us here on KXAN Live. I'm your anchor, Esmeralda Zamora, and you are watching The Space Base with KXAN's very own Eric Henriksen.
Hey.
Good morning, Eric. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you doing? I'm doing great. It's a great day. I hate the weather. I'm the only person I know who hates this weather. It's too hot. It's February. I want it to be cold and icy. Not icy, but cold.
Cold,
Snowy.
yeah, maybe a little windy.
I like a little wind. I like a little chill. It's humid. It's warm. I'm not a fan. It feels like everything's an oven. But otherwise, I'm doing great.
I love the warm because I get to be outside more. Usually when it's cold, I avoid the outside. But I agree. I wish I had a little wind in that air.
I always argue you can put more clothes on. You can't take more clothes off.
That's true.
So I'd rather it be cold than hot. But I've lived in Texas most of my life, so I should be used to it by now. I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, I'm sure it's not going to get any colder anytime soon.
Nope, that's not what the scientists say. It keeps going to get warmer. Sorry to break it to everybody.
Yep.
Let's talk about space instead of my upsetness with the weather.
The weather. Yeah. Well, yeah, today your topic has to do with the Texas Space Commission and a bunch of grants that they have received for research funding, right?
Yes. So the Texas Space Commission was established last year. It's Texas's big push to increase the amount of space projects in the state. This video was from the Texas Space Institute that opened or groundbroke last year. I got to attend that in November, I think it was. And it was really cool. That's where they're going to start building like lunar rovers and Mars rovers, things like that. But outside of that, they're going to start pushing for more space research beyond NASA, but beyond the universities. And that's what this grant program is going to do. It's part of the 88th legislative session. They approved a ton of money. Some of it goes to that Space Institute, and some of it goes to these grants. And we're seeing the start of that right now.
And by a ton of money, you mean $21.5 million. Right?
Yes, that's just in this current set too. It's around $150 million total. But this first set of announced was the number 21? You did that math a lot quicker than me. I have the actual numbers, like the individual numbers written down, not the summary. I can't do math. What can I do?
Well, let's go ahead and dive into what each of these grants are going to be used for.
Right. So all the grants are going to be used, they're going to be partnering with the space industry, and they're trying to push the space industry in different ways. So 4 grants were given out. These are for projects to help kind of move things along. So here are the 4 grants, and I'll tell you how much they're given. And you did the math a lot quicker than I did with that again. So Borderplex Alliance based in El Paso is getting $19 million. El Paso County itself is getting $800,000. Concho Valley Council of Governments in San Angelo, that's where I'm from, by the way, they're getting $500,000. And the South Plains Association of Governments in Lubbock is getting $500,000. And so projects they're looking at, and they didn't go into details what these individual projects are. I'm sure they will have more information in the coming weeks. Are for emerging technologies for human spaceflight, space exploration and research and spaceflight development, workforce training for the aerospace industry, post-mission material curation for space missions, and infrastructure development for spaceports. We want more spaceports in the state to help us get more places we can launch from. There are some rules and regulations around spaceports. They typically have to be near the coast to make the FAA happy. So if a rocket goes down, it goes down over water. You're not going to get a ton of those in the middle of near cities, but you may get them in the middle of nowhere. Blue Orbits is out in West Texas, kind of in the middle of nothingness. So there's not a whole lot out there. I know, I'm from West Texas. I'm not talking down to West Texas. I'm from West Texas. I know what's out there. I wasn't in the middle of nowhere, but you could see the middle of nowhere from where we were at. So that was the old saying in my family growing up. So yeah, these 4 are the first set. There's going to be more coming soon. We'll see more projects. Again, we don't have all the details on what these individual projects are yet, but hopefully we'll find out in the coming weeks.
They're in development, right? So let's go ahead and talk about the way that you apply for these grants. What did it take for them to even start the application process?
So they applied through the SURFS group, and the SURFS is Space Exploration Aeronautics Research Fund. They applied to the Texas Space Commission. They opened that up last year for applications. People started applying. Excuse me. And they're looking at the different projects, and there's approval process going on through SURFS, and then they get that money, hopefully. And that money they're doing several announcements. This is the first of 3 in the next few weeks. And there's no deadline on the projects. There's no maximum amount. You request what you need, and hopefully you get that money. Again, it was $150 million set aside of $350 million. $200 million of that went to the development of the Space Institute in Houston. Just on NASA's property.
And for some of our viewers who are maybe watching now or later who don't know what the Texas Space Commission is, Can you kind of explain what exactly this entity is and what do they do?
All righty, let's do this. So the Texas Space Commission was established under the 88th legislature. It was under Governor Abbott trying to push us further, Texas industry further into space. So the space economy is growing rapidly. We've seen that with SpaceX, Blue Orbit, I'm about to name much, Firefly Aerospace, which is based here in Cedar Park. So all these different space industry companies that are in Texas, and they kind of want to push Texas even further. So the Texas Space Commission is going to help us get there through these grants, through these projects, and to develop relationships with Texas and space. So it started last year, officially started in March at the Johnson Space Center. They did the ribbon cutting and said, okay, the Space Commission's announced. It's 9-member board. It's appointed by the governor, lieutenant governor, and House Speaker, and that also includes people from like Texas State, and not Texas State, sorry, Texas A&M, and a couple other different universities across the state, different experts. They're looking for industry leaders. And yeah, the whole idea is expanding operations of space travel. It's going to compete with the other two big ones, Florida and Alabama. If people don't know, I was actually born in Alabama. So I was born in Huntsville where they build rockets, and now I talk about space for a living, which is kind of fun. Space is in the blood. My grandfather actually worked for NASA in the 60s as part of the Gemini and Mercury programs, helping with safety at the time. So
That's cool.
That's kind of why they were in Alabama, and now we're in Texas and talking about space still. So Texas wants to compete with Florida and Alabama. Alabama, if you don't know, has Huntsville, the rocket center there, Redstone Arsenal, where they build rockets. And then Florida obviously has Johnson Space Flight Center, Cape Canaveral. We got Johnson here. But Cape Canaveral's there, and they do the launches from Florida. And so we want to do more launches from here, more research done here, more development done here, and really cement Texas as the home of spaceflight in the country.
Through all of this, what are some of the key advantages Texas will get from doing all of this?
So the Space Commission is going to help us get more land, more resources, and workforce development. And people don't always think about, they look at space and like, why are we wanting to go up there? What's the purpose? And one purpose is exploration. You know, the human race has always been destined to further reach, but also the amount of technology we develop through space travel. You know, look at the lunar landers and that we put in the 60s. We have more technology in our phones. These are faster processors than those lunar landers, but we didn't get to these phones without doing those lunar landers.
Yep.
A lot of development, Velcro, developed for spaceflight. Velcro is one of those developed for spaceflight. So a lot of technology we developed through this attempt to innovate and travel further. And so by investing in this industry, the idea is we're investing in Texas's future as a technological capital of the world beyond spaceflight. It'll help us boost in other different ways. The challenges spaceflight represents, you're going into a vacuum, no oxygen, extremely cold, extremely hot, high radiation, electromagnetic waves. It's just a whole, it's a nightmare. It's going into an abyss and hoping for the best. Developing the technology it requires to survive there, investing in that technology will benefit us here on Earth. And we need to always kind of remember that investing in space is actually investing in our race and our species and trying to gather us and move us along further throughout the cosmos. Will gather us and move us further along on the planet.
So we know that there was a series of grants that we applied, or Texas applied to this time around.
Yeah.
Do you think that there will be more in the future?
Yeah, I think so. And so we have 2 more announcements on February 10th and February 28th of further grant approvals. Again, there's a lot of money available for these grants. And this, like you said, $21.5 million was given this time. That still leaves a lot of money left. And I don't think they're going to announce it all this month. So they'll stretch that out and hopefully give it to all these different projects that will help us further our goals in spaceflight.
And what is the next project that is coming up pretty soon?
The next project, we're landing on the moon. Firefly Aerospace is landing on the moon on March 2nd is when they're scheduled. The lander's scheduled. That's not that. That's Artemis 2 rendering, Artemis 3 rendering for NASA. But Firefly's going to land on March 2nd. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. Hopefully they'll land, and we'll have a lunar lander from Austin area, from Cedar Park specifically, on the moon. Pretty cool.
And you've been right next to it too.
I have been feet away from it. I've looked at it. I've seen it before it launched. I'm excited to see it. I guess it won't return, but it'll shut down. But we'll see video feed from it. I'm excited about that. Yeah,
that's very exciting. And for everyone in Austin, that's something interesting to hop on that live stream and watch it, because it's from right here in Cedar Park.
That's it. It'll be an exciting adventure. Again, I want to think of our on this story specifically. Our intern Ella wrote it up for us, so
yes.
She helped us out and put together these grants and give us a shout out to her in her hard work here. We can pop that up and show them.
There we go.
There you go. That's the first $21.5 million in grant awards. First set, we'll see more in the future. Pretty cool.
All these details are in the article, and you can find this article easily on our homepage. It's titled Texas Space Commission Approves First $21.5 Million.
You didn't do the math. You read the
awards.
headline. I thought you did the math. I forgot the headline. It had the number in it.
It says it right here, too.
Oh, yeah. On my notes. This is bad, yes. I did write it in my notes. It is, but it's like one sentence. I have a page of notes. I'm usually pretty good at this.
Well, that article is on our website, on our homepage. If anyone is interested in going back and reading that, we will also add this video in there right after this so that you can rewatch it if you wish.
Excellent. Thank you so much today.
Thank you, Eric. And that's all we have today on the Space Space. We'll be back next week with another topic, and we can't wait for everyone to join us here. Thank you.